on Nextdoor Radio, nextdoorradio.com, and the Nextdoor Radio app. We are live by way of our social media outlet here this evening. Robert Fountain, he's candidate for Granville County Sheriff in the Sunday Sit Down. My friend, how are you?
Man, I am excited. I'm excited. Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are.
That's exactly right.
How are you today, sir?
You know, we like to say we're living the dream here in Granville County. It's been a good day. Little man had a baseball practice, so we were good there. Didn't list a bit, but you know it is what it is. So we were only a couple days away from the early vote here on October 20th. How's everything in your neck of the woods?
Everything is going great. We've committed to continue doing what we did for the past 2 years almost, I think. We have stayed connected to the streets and keep our finger on the pulse of these communities. Today we spent most of the afternoon canvassing door to door, making those connections, and people really appreciate the fact that you come to see them, not that they come to see you. And that's what we found that's most encouraging, is that we're continuing to generate excitement, to change minds, and we're looking how we influence behaviors of people who have not had the opportunity to ask the questions that they wanted answered via social media, anything, because some people, even with signs, and one of my people that are here, Kathy Anna and her husband William have joined me tonight. We talk about these invisible supporters, and tonight we were supposed to talk about indivisible and invisible supporters. And one of those things came to fruition today when we spoke earlier, that people have been in a position to where they were afraid to openly support because they would become targets from other people because they've seen the divisiveness in this whole process. From one guy was called a traitor last week because we were just standing together somewhere. And we have to understand that this is not who we are as a community and as a people. And we're going to continue to, cross those bridges and break down those silos. And that's what we've done for 2 years, right? So, and that's the reason I think, and it goes and reminds me when a county commissioner and the chair of the Republican Party actually wanted me to change affiliations a couple years ago. And that's why they came at me for about 2 years of having these conversations of changing from where I am to be a Republican. And I told them then, and I say it now, I'm a middle of the road guy. I have conservative ideologies about certain things, fiscal responsibility, Second Amendment and its importance to everyone, and responsible gun ownership. But some of my social views may not align with what people think. So those are the things where I told them I had to stay in the middle of the road. And that's why I stayed where I was, because I'm not going to get into the divisive nature of politics. I'm going to stay who I am, and it should be about the person. Our sheriff's elections, judges, and those positions should be nonpartisan positions. And that's what one of the people, Mr. William, and I had a conversation about tonight was having those things to where it's not a political firestorm. It's about the best qualified person and the person that has a vision and commitment to the community in which they serve. And that's where we've been. And that's where we're going to continue to be. So, yeah. But I did have 2 questions for today. I'm going to get to those, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And the one thing, a lot of and you look back on social media comments and things like that, the attacking. Why choose to really attack by way of the social media aspect of things? Why do we do that?
Fear.
Yeah.
One, it's the fear of unknown. And because if you're secure in who you are, then you would have the moral courage and fortitude to step in front of someone and say those things. But that's almost like cyberbullying. So when we start looking at the protection of our children, social media has almost kind of ruined the culture of kids, right? So we have to even start praying for the senseless violence that happened in Raleigh with that active shooter. An individual shot his brother, killed his brother, then just randomly went down and killed some other people, right? So we think, my perspective, is that we've kind of desensitized ourselves to the human contact. The pandemic created that situation. Social media was a catalyst to this process. So we have to break those kind of things down into the simplest form of how to address them. More one-on-one contact. So when I go to your door and knock on your door, you're less likely to say some of the stuff you said on social media because I'm standing in front of you. Right?
Good point.
And that's everybody. Mm-hmm. But I think that's the key to it was the fact that people felt comfortable being behind that phone and hiding. Because some people that have said some things to me, called me out of my name, see me in the streets or in a restaurant, and they act like we're best of friends. Hey, Mr. Fountain, how you doing? I'm like, aren't you the guy that just called me a demon rat? You know? Okay, cool. But I don't go there because, again, I'm a Marine, and we're built different. And because of that, you're disparaging comments and stuff, and I'm a child of God, so it doesn't bother me. If they talk bad about Jesus, why didn't they do the same about you, right? Mm-hmm. So we got to just continue to stay in that lane. There's no skin off my back. That shows your incompetence or ignorance because you don't know me. You don't know who I am or whose I am, and that's just the bottom line.
There you go. So, and this is Sunday Sit Down here on Next Door Radio, nextdoorradio.com, Next Door Radio app, available by also our social media tonight here, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. This is the Sunday Sit Down every single Sunday beginning at 8 p.m. Again, with early voting coming up here, we're only a couple weeks away.
Yeah, Thursday.
A couple more of these, and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit more. You kind of led into it at the beginning of it about the indivisible aspect of things.
The indivisible stuff comes from the fact that, one, it's part of our Constitution, and it's part of our founding fathers' thought process of how we are collective as a people. And because when I say indivisible volunteers, that means that collectively, no matter who you are, your political affiliation, we have become united for a cause. And that cause is the community's safety. That cause is the protection and the rights of every citizen, no matter who you are, what political party you're in, who you love. Nothing matters except our Constitution and the safety of our communities. That's the indivisible part. But then the other part, and that's where I want to say thank you tonight, is about thanking the people that have been those invisible people that stand behind me. People see a finished product sometimes, like when you see a car that's been built or you see this radio program. They don't see the work that goes in behind those things. So those laborers who don't get enough credit from me, and I thank them and say thank you all the time because they're my people. And that's what I say when they say my people, and when people ask me that and I say my people will come from every background, every walk of life. So those people, those invisible ones that make sure that I'm in place on time, and Kathy Anna helping me get stuff, and Larry Downey putting stuff out, Bobo Merrill getting my suits together, my wife and my family.
A little jealous of that, I'm not gonna lie. That looks good. Yeah, a little jealous of that aspect of it.
Yeah, so they don't see those people, And God, God tells us to give our tithes. And your tithes are talent, gifts, and treasures, and as well as your time. So people have invested in me to the point to where it's almost like they're giving me so much, and I want to thank them for what they've done and where they've put me, because it's not about me. I'm just a face of a whole process. And God pours into me, my people pour into me. And when I tell people we grow this thing from the ground up, it comes to me and we work it out. I listen to my people. My people are everybody. You're one of my people. So that's the indivisible and individual volunteers, and we're going to continue to grow those people, And I think that as long as people look for a competent, qualified leader, they will see a clear distinction in choice come beginning Thursday. They'll see a distinctive choice to where we're changing minds to influence behaviors. And it's always been the whole catalyst behind this movement, just to change the mind by sowing a seed of competent, qualified leadership and what it really looks like. And I think we've done a pretty decent job of that. So here we are.
Yes. So moving forward, again, early voting is coming up here next Thursday, which is October 20th. What to look out for during that time?
Same thing. We're going to be on the ground. Like today, we were on the ground. We're going to keep going and being in the communities. We're going to keep encouraging people to do their homework, vote early, because we want to make sure you have a plan. Because if it's a hurricane, tornado, something happens on election day, the power goes out, what do? We want you to have a plan. Historically, people love to vote on election day because it's a constitutional thing. It's a tradition for certain folks. But the biggest thing is to vote, because your vote is your voice, right? So don't make excuses. Don't complain unless you exercise that right to vote. If you don't, then you're part of the problem. You're not part of the solution. because you didn't help instill the solution or come up with a creative ideology to change this culture. And then they're going to look for me to be the sheriff that they're looking for. I've been the guy they wanted, they needed for so long, for far too long. It's been this whole round robin of who's going to be the next guy. That stops on November 8th. It starts November 20th. I'm the guy, and I'm ready.
Sunday sit down here every single Sunday on Next Door Radio. Early voting coming up on October 20th. Of course, we like to finish these programs of opening the floor. Last 2 minutes of these programs, should I say, of really opening up anything that's on your mind, my friend.
Earlier tonight, before I got here, 18-year-old girl. This is her first time voting. Young lady, Miss Black. She's one of my team. She registered to vote last week. She was asked by someone about a sanctuary city. Would Granville County become a sanctuary community if Fountain is elected sheriff? First, people need to understand what a sanctuary city is and a sanctuary community is. A sanctuary city has nothing to do with the sheriff's office, right? It does with local municipalities and the governance who will allow immigrants and illegals to exercise and not be held to the federal statutes and standards with Immigration and Customs and Border Patrol, right? That has nothing to do with the sheriff's office. The only time the sheriff's office is involved in those processes is when a detainer, a federal detainer, is issued to hold someone that's wanted by immigration. And you have to follow the law. We will follow the law as written. We will make sure that everyone is treated fairly. There is no exception to who you are. If you're here and you commit a crime, the court system will deal with you. You will get adjudicated. If you threaten the safety and security of these communities, you have a problem with me. You have a problem because of the fact we are going to hold you in account for what you've done. If the federal government says we want to hold this person, they have a standard by which we have to follow. A federal judge that's right there in Raleigh will have to sign a federal detainer, and then we will issue and follow that federal detainer. If it's signed by a magistrate, because one of the positions that we're going to have is a Customs and Border Patrol TFO, Task Force Officer. So that person will then be in contact with Immigration and Customs to let them know about the expiration of the 48-hour hold that they place on them and that they have to come and get them. We can either two options, take them to a federal system and release them to that federal system as a detaining facility, which we have in Butner, or we release them. Those are the only two options you have. Henrico County, Virginia held someone on a federal detainer held by a magistrate that was illegal, got sued for $7 million. The sheriff's office was sued because of the fact they held to somebody that should not have been in place for over 48 hours past the holding of the detainer. So we have to understand that. So that's Ms. Black. That was your question. And another young lady asked me, what party affiliation do I align myself with? And it goes back to what I said before. I was recruited 2 years ago for some time to become a Republican. I am a conservative Democrat, right? So that means I have fiscal responsibility that I commit to that's conservative. I am a Second Amendment rights, responsible gun ownership person, but my social views are different on some kind of cases, right? So that's where I'm in the middle of the road. So that's why I wish this was a nonpartisan kind of candidacy, because that's what we are. We have to be the sheriff for everybody, regardless of what your political affiliation is. So because you're a Democrat, Republican, does that mean you get less customer service? No. So we have to understand that the sheriff's office and the position of sheriff is one, an administrator. It's not the guy out there going to stop cars and kick in doors. That is not the sheriff's responsibility. He has people that works for him that he manages to do those jobs. So understanding the law, understanding the concept of arrest, search, and seizure, understanding how to write warrants, understanding fugitive extradition, jail administration, all the things that a sheriff's encompasses. People like to focus on that little small hole. Well, you ain't never been a deputy before. You're right, I haven't. But I know more and have done more than anybody that's in this race right now. So let's put it in that lane, in that vein, and we keep it there. So if you want to talk to me about anything, stop making it about one particular part of criminal justice. If you want to talk about criminal justice in totality, we can have a real spirited conversation, but at the end of the day, I'm the best guy for the job, period. Point blank, end of story. Thank you for the Sunday sit down. Thank you as always. Great job. I look for your vote and your support, and I look for to see you at the polls. I'm going to try to be at everyone every day for the next 18 days, starting Thursday. And it's going to be, they're going to be wheels down on the ground. So I'm excited.
Of course, they can find you on social media. How can they get hold of you by way of website and things like that?
Man, they can text me. Don't call me. You can text me at 919-464-9880. Facebook, Robert Fountain for Sheriff, Robert Fountain. Or you can reach me at www.fountain4sheriff2022.com. Or you can catch me every Sunday right here with Next Door Radio and Trace Nod, my man.
Again, my name is Trace Nunn on behalf of the Sunday Sit Down here on Next Door Radio. He is candidate for Granville County Sheriff, Robert Fountain, my friend. Hey, God bless you. Always a pleasure. We appreciate what you do for the community. Until next time, my name is Trace Nunn. God bless. We'll see you later.